Chris, like
hold on, that was Regina's own Kick-Axe. One of the greatest underrated bands from the 80s. Should have made it much bigger, but they didn't. But that's a great tune called On the Road to Rock. Go stream it now on Spotify.
There you go. And I believe that Kick-Axe is played on the Jericho Cruise as well.
They have, yes. One of the good things about the Jericho Cruise is I can bring on some of my favorite bands that didn't make it as far as they should have, like Kick-Axe, like Raven, like Striper. I can do what I want. It's my cruise. I'm like the king of the castle.
Nice.
Bully knows. We had a great time last year. Dave knows. Tommy refuses. He's scared of boats, he says.
I am.
Are you really?
I've never been on a cruise. I got seasick once. I don't know. Instagram scared me to be on cruises. Wind.
I have said this before, and Chris, I'm not just saying this now because you're on the air, but I've said this multiple times on this show that without a doubt, the best vacation I've ever had was being a part of that Jericho Cruise. Just being around the fans, being around all the talent. It's an amazing experience. And you're right. A big part of it is the rock side of things. As great as the wrestling is, you know, I was hanging out with the Bullet Boys. If you told 17-year-old Dave LaGreca that he'd be hanging out with the Bullet Boys, I mean, it's an amazing experience. So thank you for doing those cruises because each one always sells out and they're always a hit.
Well, once again, we've created a great party. I wish I could have you guys on every time. I know Bully still got heat with me because I didn't put him on this year's cruise, but it really is a party all across the board, and that's the way that I plan it. With the wrestlers, with the legends that we bring on, with the bands. You'll never see like a thrash band on the Jericho Cruise because that doesn't fit the vibe of what I'm looking for. I want you to be able to just walk through the entire boat with a drink and stop and just have a good time. And that's kind of what we've done, which is why it's become such a hit over the last 6 years.
I tell you what, the last cruise, I had such a great time also, obviously with Dave, the fan base, watching you guys play. But your guitar player in Fozzy, Rich Ward, he's got like an 80s cover band. What's the name of it again?
Guardians of the Jukebox.
They are so much fun. Like if I was having a party at my house or in my backyard, I would hire Guardians of the Jukebox to play my party. That's how much fun they are.
It's just funny. My wife just had her 50th birthday, and she hired the Guardians of the Jukebox to come play. When you think 80s cover band, you're like, oh, Poison. No. This is Lionel Richie. It's Maniac. It's Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car, Caribbean Queen. It's some really good stuff, man. So that was very cool.
By the way, since we're on it, really quick before I forget, our good friends, Bully, from the Shout It Out Loud cast, I promised them I would give them a shout. Their new book, Raise Your Glasses, which all three of us are in. We're quoted in this book, and they actually have a whole chapter on my favorite Kiss song, Mr. Speed. So make sure you pick that up. It's available on Amazon.com right now. So make sure you buy that.
Chris, do you have a favorite Kiss song?
You know me, man. I'm an 80s Kiss guy. So I think Heaven's on Fire is the best written Kiss song of all time. So that would be the one that I would pick right off the bat.
All right, well, gotcha. And I know time is short because you're very busy. Terrifier 3, I know you helicoptered into Times Square for the premiere in Chris Jericho fashion. So talk about your role in this.
By the way, that wasn't trying to be a flex. That was a long story of something that happened where the only way I could make it was by a chopper. I did not organize the chopper that was organized for me. So Terrifier, we discovered this on the Fozzy bus 6-7 years ago. And it was like, to mention Rich Ward, you got to watch this movie. Oh, a killer clown. Boy, how original. Then I watched it, and it just blew my mind at how depraved it was, how gritty it was. So I was really trumpeting Terrifier to everybody that listened to my podcast and to anybody that liked horror. Suddenly it becomes kind of a minor hit. 2 comes out, I'm in it, becomes a major hit. Still on a small level though, and now 3 is ready to be released on 2,600 screens. So, and Bully will understand this. Tommy will too. When you start something at grassroots level, and it gets to a gigantic platform, you feel very proud and very invested. And that's where Terrifier is at this point. It's going to possibly be the #1 movie in America next week.
Wow.
It's a batshit crazy, depraved, messed up, fucked up movie about a killer clown on an indie level, and it might become the biggest movie in America. That's pretty cool.
I read something on the old Twitter machine the other day, not sure if it's true, and they did a screening of the movie about a week ago. Like a bunch of people walked out of the theater within the first couple of minutes because it was so gory and so grotesque.
Yeah, that's what happened in 2 is somebody puked in the theater. Originally, they were able to release it for 1 week, like a special engagement, 1 week. Somebody puked. It went viral. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and ended up making $15 million on a $250,000 budget. Same thing with 3. People have walked out. People have puked. It's banned in France. And I was like, listen, if you're going to be banned, France is good. Who cares? Like the money they're going to lose from being banned in France is going to be made tenfold in America and the UK and Canada and everywhere else in the world. So that type of publicity you can't buy. And that's what people, fans of Terrifier expect. It's over the top, depraved, gory, disgusting. Obviously, Art the Clown is the best movie killer in the last 40 years, the way that David Howard Thornton plays him. So it really is like the fact that this movie has such a buzz and is poised to make such an impact is really cool. Because, yeah, it's over the top, man. If you think you like gory movies, this one's worse. I just watched it again last night, and I'll say this is not a spoiler alert. In horror movies, the kids always make it. Not in this one. Not in this one.
I remember when I saw it for the first time. I actually saw it with Velvet, and she's like, this is kind of weird. This blah blah blah. I'm like, this is going to become a cult classic,
right?
And I think that's what it's kind of turning into with each new series. More and more people are getting into it, and if you're going on the record to say you think it could be the #1 movie by next week, that's huge.
This is like when ECW went to pay-per-view. It's the little engine that wasn't supposed to be more than a dingy little kind of, rebellion promotion. And suddenly it goes mainstream. That's kind of where we're at with Terrifier 3. Like, it wasn't supposed to get to this point, and nothing's changed. It's still the same gritty, no backing down movie that 2 and 1 were. It's just now it's in the mainstream level. So that's kind of really where I was thinking last night. I was like, this is kind of like ECW when it got to that level.
Were you always a horror guy?
Huh?
Were you always a horror guy?
Yeah. I've been a horror guy since I was a teenager.
Nice.
Well, then
you're a big conspiracy theory guy too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Moon landing never happened. That's a whole other show.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to get into that at some point. I'm still pissed off that Cannibal Holocaust lost to Ordinary People in 1980 for the Oscar Movie of the Year, but
it wasn't even nominated. What a travesty!
It should have been that and make them die slowly. But Chris, and you're doing the Gramercy. Fozzy is playing the Gramercy.
Yeah,
as well
on the 17th. Are you going to be there for the LaGreca Wall of Death?
Oh, dude, I'm always down for the Wall of Death. On the 17th, I'll be there. I promise, I will be there.
It's Fozzy's 25th anniversary, so we're actually on tour right now. I was able to make a pit stop here in New York for the screening yesterday, but it's been going great. And actually, for Philly, for New York on the 17th, and Philly on the 18th, we have Swerve Strickland and Flash Garments opening the show. Kind of a modern day Bully Will Get This, Public Enemy, Anthrax connection. Swerve opened for us in London when we played right before Wembley a month ago, whatever it was. And it was so much fun. Just the energy level between Swerve's show and Fozzy's show is very similar. So we really like the idea of that, of kind of combining rap and rock and roll. And, we don't ever really do anything wrestling connected, but this really felt right to have Swerve and Jericho on the same bill. So we're especially doing that for New York and Philly as well.
Bring the noise.
Yeah,
because I know time is short, but I gotta have a wrestling question in there.
Please.
Tony Khan announcing the new TV deal for AEW. You talked about the grassroots and AEW growing. How happy is everybody with the new deal with Warner Brothers?
I think we proved a lot of so-called experts. We made them look like idiots. We knew what was going on with this. The landscape changes constantly. Numbers go up, numbers go down. But the overall demo of what AEW brings to the table as a live sporting event is invaluable. So we knew that it was something that people would want to be involved with and be a part of. And Warner Brothers Discovery didn't want to let us go anywhere. And you can see, I mean, $185 million a year for a company that's only been going for 5 years. That's never happened before, ever. Obviously, WWE is the standard, the gold standard. They didn't have a deal like that 5 years in. Nobody else has. So with all the growing pains, good and bad, that AEW has, we're still such a young company. And that, to me, showed that we have a real commitment to, we're not going anywhere. Tony Khan's not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, much to some people's chagrin, and neither is the rest of the company. And I think it's going to be a really great next 3 to 5 years. And listen, and Tommy and Bully know, there's nothing worse than if AEW didn't get a great television deal. There's nothing better for the business, the fans, for you guys, for AEW to be thriving and to be healthy, and we are.
Me and Dave were talking about it the other day. Even if you're not a fan of AEW or one of the naysayers, I don't know how you can't be happy for a wrestling company that signed a brand new TV deal. I don't care if the deal is worth $1 or $185 million. You're still getting another pro wrestling company on television. We have pro wrestling on television 6 days a week. Pro wrestling keeps so much of us employed on so many different levels. And if you make a living, let's just say there are people out there who make a living completely bashing AEW. Yes. Even those people at home quietly are thanking God that AEW is still around because they can still make money off the company.
Well, tribalism is always a thing, and that's okay. Listen, nobody should be universally loved. That's not cool. I mean, there's still people that hate, Metallica for existing after Cliff Burton died. Listen, it's okay. Hate us, love us. Hate WWE, love WWE. Hate Busted Open, love Busted Open. It doesn't matter. All that matters, like you said, Bully, is it's thriving, and pro wrestling is bigger now than it's ever been from a financial standpoint. Maybe not from a ticket standpoint or a rating standpoint, because once again, the landscape has changed. But from a pure dollars and cents, there has never been a time in this business where companies, both WWE and AEW, two separate companies, are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year to be on TV. It was never like that when we worked there.
And I was just going to ask you about when we worked there. Like, I compare when we worked there in the Attitude Era to like AC/DC, and AC/DC is one of the biggest touring bands in the world. Yeah. But now the wrestling business has almost turned into the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
If somebody would have tapped you on the shoulder in 2000 and said, you're going to be involved in the wrestling business 25 years from now, and it's going to be even bigger. Yeah. What would you have told them?
I mean, you wouldn't have believed it. I mean, I'm about ready to go into my biggest contract year ever. And that's one of the things that I laugh about when people are like, oh, Jericho just has to be on TV. I don't have to do anything. My boss puts me on TV because he pays me money to be there. To know that there's that much money at stake, like you mentioned, 25 years after, the year 2000, the Attitude Era, it really does blow my mind, but I'm also very proud of that. Like, this is a great time for the business to be in it, for the fans and everything else, like we said, because live sports, and I'll call wrestling a sport right now, is the last bastion of advertising. Meaning, with all the streaming that's going on, nobody's watching commercials anymore. There isn't commercials. The only commercials that we have are NFL, NHL, NBA, AEW, WWE, live sports. And that's why it's worth that much money. For people to go, oh, they're overpaying. It's all they have left to make the money. And when WWE goes to Netflix, suddenly that changes the game as well. So it really is an interesting time for the television business, for the wrestling business, and for live sports and for advertising.
Hey, Chris, just wanted to ask you, you've done everything. What's left? Or is there a talent you want to work with? Because I mean, I'll praise you all day to your face as well via text. But is there anybody that you've helped elevate so many people? Is there somebody that's on your radar like, man, I want to do this? Because like you said, you're in now a contract year. But you have nothing else to prove, but I know why you do it because you love this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still love the business, and when the moment I feel, and no one else, the moment I feel that I can't contribute at the highest level, I'll step back. But I mean, everybody that I work with, I mean, I watched Hook the other day, and I was like, man, this kid has learned. He's really starting to get it. Not just because of me working with Samoa Joe as well. We're helping elevate these guys. I got in the ring with Orange Cassidy for the first time in 5 years. How much has he advanced in the last 5 years? MJF, just all the Hangman Page, all the guys that I'm thinking about. I'm really looking forward to and enjoying this story that we're starting with Mark Briscoe. I think Mark Briscoe, and God bless Jay, not with us anymore. It's a drag that he's not here, but Mark is very special. And I think he's a guy that I really want to do the best I can for him to get to the next level and for people to understand just how special of a talent he is. And he's working not just for himself and not just for his family with his 18 kids or whatever he's got. He's got a new one every couple months. He's doing it for his brother as well. He's doing it for Jamin. So I really am looking forward to that. And we're going to beat the hell out of each other. He's crazy. He's batshit crazy. But man, what a talent that connects with the audience. I'm not going to say a Dusty Rhodes because nobody's a Dusty Rhodes, but you've got a guy that doesn't look like the typical wrestler, shall we say, doesn't act like the typical wrestler, but man, he's a special talent and a special character, and I want to really try and help him get to the next level.
You know, Chris, I bought 2 tickets for the 17th, so I'm going to see Fozzy. So
nice.
Any Nation members, there's only just a limited amount of tickets left, so make sure you get a ticket because I'll be hanging there on the 17th to see Fozzy at the Gramercy on the 17th of October. Chris, thank you for always being a supporter and a fan of the show. We're pushing for Busted Open 24/7, which is trending at number 5 right now. We need it to trend at number 1. But Chris, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. You know I love and respect you. And Bully, the crew finally did something cool by showing up in a garbage truck out front of the Troubadour. Finally,
they did. Yep, they did.
Did you see Vince's terrible bump though? He couldn't.
Horrible.
It was like
and thank God Mick didn't have to get out of that truck.
Thanks, guys.